Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. You didn't get a countdown. Usually I have a little countdown going. You didn't get a countdown. You also didn't get the opening song, and I apologize for that. I've been running around here trying to get stuff done, and I was just just getting back to the computer monitor. So I apologize for not having the little opening sequence that I normally do. I hope everybody is doing well. The weather has been pretty nice here in Georgia, decent temperatures, and that led me to getting stuff done on the Cobra Jet. So let me see if I can move my light. I don't know how well this is going to work, but if you look, you'll see, and my lights, there you go. I have epoxy on the front of the car, the engine bay, and the bottom. So things are looking pretty good. Now, the idea, of course, is to get everything taken care of before I can get the car back on the ground, get it on suspension. And it's been a difficult decision as to how I'm approaching with this. I know my camera's a little bit off. Okay. Because Charles had provided me with a bunch of different materials to do the work to the bottom of this car. And I had to make some decisions as to how I was going to approach that. So I ended up that I went with the black epoxy, and later on it's going to get the red oxide looking material that it would have had when it was new. So that'll come at a later date. For now, I just wanted to get all the bottom, done, and that's where it's at this moment. As you all know, I have made some changes to my YouTube channel, and I know there's been some really good feedback on that. I've had some sort of negative feedback, and I get it. When you have in essence, something for free, that when somebody decides they want to do something about it, some people feel like they're being it's not fair anymore, and that's just how society is. Everybody wants everything that they can get, and I get that. But I am still going to post videos on YouTube, and I am putting better, longer videos on Patreon. So if you're not already interested or you're not involved, go have a look at it just to see if you want to be part of that. I've had about 15 or 20 people join in addition to my normal group that I've had. And on Patreon, I think I'm up to, let's see what the number is, and drum roll. What does it say? Well, let me see what the number is. 162 regular members, and then apparently there's about 77 people that have joined in the free bracket, and of course that free is just showing that they're interested, and there's not much that I'm going to be able to offer to them in effect. Anyway, if you're new to this live stream, I do this typically on Monday nights at 7 o'clock. I've been trying to do it every Monday, and last week I didn't do it. I had other stuff that I had to address, so I wasn't able to be here, and that was a good thing in effect, because I just had to take care of some stuff. So y'all know that I had the Studebaker here, and that became too much of a stress point for me, and I decided to sell the car. It is now with a family friend who will more than likely do more with it than I could have done. So I'm very happy with that. I'm happy that it's out of my sight now, so I don't have to dwell on having that car sitting here and not being able to do anything to it. But if you're new to the live stream, this live stream is usually about classic cars, and I mean classic in my mind is about 55 to 78, 79, somewhere in that range. So if you're interested in bringing up a subject, that's the kind of the bracket that we're in. And usually I've got, I might have a good answer for you for a question. If not, the group of people over here on my left have good input many times. You'll notice I have the garage door slightly open, and I actually have the fan in the back trying to pull air through. There's still some fumes in here. It was kind of rough. I didn't even really get very cleaned up to get on the live stream. But anyway, I welcome you to the live stream. Let's see who is here tonight. First in is Rick Stevenson. So you get a bell, Rick. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Hope everything is well. Terry Keithley, evening Barry and all coffee and gobs tonight. Yep, you know what? I actually have one. I'm not going to eat it, but I have a gob or gobs. It's funny, as a kid, growing up, and I always thought that it was just a gob, right? I don't know when the name became gobs, because to me, gobs means plural, more than one. Somehow, I don't know. Maybe they changed the name at some point. But yeah, this is a gob. Sometimes people might call these like a whoopie pie or something like that. I don't know. But it is basically 2 pieces of kind of chocolate cake with an icing in the middle. Pretty tasty and really good with coffee. But I'm not gonna indulge. So glad you're here, Terry. There's another bell for you if I didn't give you one. Rick Gain, did my comment disappear? Apparently it did. I don't know, but I'm glad you're here, Rick. I don't know what that's about. So, Robert, the Infernal Craftsman's checking in. Evening all. Evening, Robert. Glad you're here. Dave Tyson. Good evening all. Evening, Dave. First Dave sighting tonight. Nandu. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all doing good. Thank you. Same to you. Glad you're here. Rick says he just complained about having to use AC today. Hi, everyone. Okay. Yeah, it's it's funny. There's AC and there's heat, and we're all let's just say kind of soft when it comes to that. Honestly, I know our house, we have 2 air conditioners in this house, and it is not super efficient. Just put it that way. We all know how that is. It was warm the other day, and my wife said, "Let's put the AC on," and I'm like, "Okay, fine." Turned the AC on. Well, it didn't come on. The reason for that is we keep our AC pretty high, like 76 degrees. If we don't, the thing will just keep running and running and running. So the temperature in the house was actually 75, and the AC wouldn't even kick on. But we're dealing with it, and it'll be hot here before too long. We all know that. Bob Shoemaker, good evening from Tornado Alley, Oklahoma. Had plenty of them Saturday, but none on me. Trash can even stayed upright. Well, good to hear, Bob. I'm glad you're safe and sound. Robert, we've been running AC here on and off since February when it was 96 degrees. Yeah, I actually had, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I think I had the AC on here in the garage because it was hot and it was humid, and humidity really is rough when it comes to heat. Shannon Vaughn, hello, great to be here. Glad to hear, Shannon. Hope all is well. Greetings from Crash Rider from Southern Indiana. Hit the like button. Yes. Thank you, sir. Steve Reed, hello, Joe Daddy and everyone. It's raining here in Paducah, Kentucky. Yeah, I thought it was going to rain last night, but it didn't. I was able to get the yard mowed, so that was a big plus. Jerry is checking in. Howdy, Barry. Howdy, y'all. I hope you are doing well. Robert's been a good boy. That is all. Have a great stream. Okay. Ed Cucciarella. Hello, all. Hello, Ed. Glad you're here. Jeffrey Dewar. Good evening, everyone. I've got my coffee and ready to listen. That's awesome. Glad you're here. Steve Reed. When I was a kid, it was moon pies, I think is what he was trying to type. Moon pies, yes. And moon pies are they're different. This is more like a sort of a cake. I think moon pies are made with foam, if I remember correctly. They're made with like a foam insulation with chocolate on them. So that's a little different than these. I think they use insulation for moon pies. I think. I can't be 100% sure though. Jeff, JK66 Mustang. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you very much. Awesome. Glad you're here tonight. Hope all is well. Anthony Chow. I'm considering adding AC to my 65289, but I need to work on my cooling system first. Would you recommend a high flow water pump? Keep up great videos. Yeah, it's always a difficult thing with the trying to cool these engines. And a high flow water pump may help. I can't say for sure. A lot of times, just adding a shroud will make a difference. Now, if you're adding AC, you're going to be putting a condenser in front of the radiator, so you're probably going to want a shroud anyway. But a shroud helps a lot of times. So make sure your thermostat is good and functioning. So, but I can't say if a high flow water pump would do enough, but it's probably worth a shot. The other thing is these cars. I know because I think the water necks are both on the same side on the radiators. You really end up with a kind of a flow on that end more than all the way through the radiator. Which let me see. Yeah, I think. Maybe I'm picturing this wrong. Wait a minute. Yeah, they're both on the same side, and I think the heat tends to stay to one side. I know when I did the radiator in jade, I put in a later model version so that I could offset the two water necks and help the water flow through it better. But a high flow pump may help. I can't say for sure. Good question. Thank you, Anthony. Glad you're here. Dave Conville. Evening, Dave. And he's up in New Jersey as well. Steve Reed, when I was a kid, did I read that twice? Moon pies. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the one made from insulation, foam insulation. Hurricane temperature went up to 89 here today. That happened too fast. Yeah. Well, we've had some high temperatures, but I'm hoping that we can hold off for a while. I know May is coming and it's not going to stop. But we're still showing temperatures mid 70s to low 80s all through next Wednesday. Not this coming Wednesday. Yeah, all through next 10 days. So that's good. Jay Living, hey Joe, 68 GT 390 4-speed fastback. Ooh, that's a cool car. Glad you're here, Jay. Steve Reed says, yep, made from insulation. Cricado Funelaria. I think that's good night. I'm not sure what else. Glad you're here, Cricado. Blake and Becky Walls. Glad you're here. Give you a bell. 66 Stang Swap 302 Polycarb AOD trans, trying to figure out the TV cable. I have the low carb TV cable kit and return spring. Do I need the carb location corrector kit called low carb? No help. That's a good question, and I probably don't have a good answer for you because I have not done that. So somebody I'm sure has, and I'm gonna ask that question one more time and see if we get a response. 66 Stang Swap 302 Polycarb AOD trans, trying to figure out the TV cable. You have the low carb TV cable kit and return spring kit. Do I need the carb location corrector kit called low carb? No help. Yeah, I don't have an answer for you on that because I haven't done that. So maybe somebody else will have some input and be able to help out with that. But I'm surprised the kit, if low carb sells the kit, I mean, is there something else like you're saying the carb location corrector kit? I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that. But I do have coffee. Okay. Let me see what else we have going on. As I mentioned, I am trying to get everything done on the bottom of the Cobra Jet. Now, Charles had bought some black epoxy, some red sort of chromate, some gray stuff, some other, like 4 different things of paint and chemicals, but no instruction. So I'm like, I don't know what went where. And I've looked up some things. There is a PDF that I was sent that has the locations of how they would have done the car back in the day as far as color, overspray, seam sealer, where they would have put different things and how they would have applied some stuff like that. And this is a PDF that was created by a guy who is the #1 Mustang guru. Like, he's the one that does all the high level professional restoration stuff. Like, you know, if you want the grease mark, he knows where it's supposed to be. He can tell you what it's supposed to look like for the overspray and all those different things. So this PDF gave me some good information. And we also found that this car is a San Jose car, if I remember, I think it's right, San Jose. And it would have had the red chromate or red coloring of primer. And proof in point, I wasn't sure on that because the car was so rusted and there was no evidence that I could find of the red primer until I went back and looked at one of the quarter panels. I still have the original quarter panels, what's left of them, and inside there was a spot about that big that was still red. So I knew that it was red chromate or red primer that was on the inside of the car for sure. Now, what I've also learned is these cars, I think in particular in San Jose, they had a color called, I think they called it slop gray or something. And essentially it was like all the leftovers. So if they had some that were X color and this color and that, whatever, they would just dump it all together and it would become gray. And they were using that as a primer. And what it basically says is the gray was when they ran out of the red. They would just push together the gray stuff and spray it. So there is some, you know, debate on which one would have been used, but I did find red on the quarter panel. So I'm going to go back with that. And then the other thing is I have to, like the inside of the car would have had the red, you know, coloring on it. Now, in some videos that I've seen, other people have sprayed body color on the inside of the car. I don't know that I'm going to, I mean, I may do that, but I don't know that it's necessary. It's kind of a, to me, it's, you're kind of giving up quality paint just to have some color in there when everything's going to be carpeted and covered up. And you already know this car is not technically original anyway, so we're not going to gain much, but we can mimic some of that stuff and try to make it look as close as we can. So that's going to be, you know, kind of the plan moving forward. Let's see. Ed says, Blake, call Holly for the correct part and get a pressure gauge. You can hurt the trans real quick if the TV is not set up correctly. All right, there's some good information. And Blake says, yes, they said call low car. The pressure is supposed to be 35 pounds in neutral at full temperature idle. Okay. Jay Living had machine work done on my 390. Put motor together to runs good, but cannot stop oil and antifreeze from leaking between the block and flywheel. Okay, oil and antifreeze? That's not a good sign. A lot of times you can get, you know, that sounds like the intake manifold. Okay, I can't say how much is leaking, but what you will find is if the intake manifold is not seated and torqued and everything and sealed at the back, then you can have antifreeze seeping out of the back where the head meets the intake manifold, and you can have oil if that gasket's not there and it's being slung around and seeping out of the back of the intake manifold. Now there's oil passages and there should be plugs throughout the engine where those were machined and later plugged off. And normally a machine shop will take all those plugs out and replace them with new ones. So I would lean towards looking at the intake. If it's coming from the very top of the engine and working its way down, you know, between the engine and transmission or whatever, then that's probably where it's coming from. I had a similar situation with the 280 or the 302 that I have in Jade. And what had happened was my builder had put it together. And the engine sat here waiting for a couple years. And I didn't even think anything of it. So I put the engine in the car, bolted the transmission up, did everything I was supposed to do, and I started doing the break-in because it hadn't even been broken in yet. And I started getting antifreeze coming out of the engine. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Come to find out, the intake manifold, they had installed it with the gaskets, but it was a little more than finger tight holding the intake onto the block. So I took the intake back off, cleaned everything up, resealed it, put the gaskets back in, and it hasn't leaked since. So I'm going to lean towards intake gaskets and or the rear gasket that goes between on the block and the intake manifold. So good question. Let me know if that's a good answer. Colin, hello from upstate New York. Still working on reworking up here. Quite the task. Hope everyone's projects are doing well. Awesome. Glad you're here, Colin. Oh, rewiring, not reworking. Okay. Okay, well, that's, that's still the same kind of thing. So, yeah. Ed Cucciarella may need to call one of the big rebuilder shops like Monster or to get info on needed parts. Oh, talking about the carburetor setup. Yeah. That is a possibility. Jay Living says, yep. Blake, intake gasket, China wall. Yeah. Shannon, I use chromate on the pot parts. It is green in color. I don't know if that is good or not. What do you think? On the pot parts? What are you saying, just Shannon? Pot metal parts? Or give me a little more help there. I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what the what you're asking. Blake, J. Living, probably intake gasket, China wall meets water provision. Yeah. Jay Living, thank you so much for the advice. Love your videos. Awesome. Glad to help. Delmarine, happy Monday. Thanks for the live time. Yes. Glad you're here. This is what do I say? Semper Fi, is that right? Semper Fi? That's the Marine thing. Glad you're here. Technical questions solved. Installing rear panel. That's an interesting name for for a YouTube channel. Installing rear panel on 68 Mustang sectioned quarter panels to get machine depth on extensions and trunk lid, and now struggling to match the trunk trim to the extension trim. Okay, you section the quarter panels to get matching depth on extensions and trunk lid. Okay, so when you say that, are you talking about you sectioned them lengthwise, or you did something else? I'm assuming you mean lengthwise. Matching depth on extensions and trunk lid. I'm now struggling to match the trunk trim to the extension trim. Okay. Now that's, I'm not sure exactly what you have. Like, are you talking the trunk trim and extension trim aren't lining up fore and aft, or they're not lining up and down? The up and down is out. Is that what you're saying? Okay. But does the trunk lid fit the shape correctly? Like the trunk lid and the extensions, does that all fit correctly? I mean, if that fits, then it's something else. Like your holes are off or whatever. So I don't have an easy answer for you on that. Sorry. Shannon says pot metal. Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter. You know, I normally use epoxy on everything, but I don't know if chromate makes a difference or not. I can't say it makes a difference. Robert, I just use epoxy on the pot metal stuff and no issues. Much better than the chrome plating someone did to a pair of headlight doors I was given. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good answer. Technical, yes, the length, but now the up and down is out. Okay. Well, here's some other questions. Is it an aftermarket deck lid, or is it original? Is the gasket in place? Is the latch adjusted correctly? Does everything line up except for the trim? That's probably more questions that need to be answered. What you can run into, because I know I have new trim on Jade, and it didn't take much to make adjustments for those to line up. However, that's not to say that you could have differences in how the holes are drilled in the extensions or the deck lid. So if they're offset or something, who knows, that could automatically cause problems. Now, what's the fix? Well, adjusting the holes, trying to get them to move up and down, depending on where you're at in the build. Now, what I try to do, and I try to recommend to everybody, when you do all this stuff, test fit everything that's going to be associated with that. Now, I know it may be too late. Maybe you've already painted it. I don't know. But that's what the goal is. You try to make sure that everything is going to fit before you do that final step. Otherwise, you get into a fight with it, and then it's a problem. Let's move on here. Colin, off topic, but my memory is fuzzy. Did you do a body swap of an old truck onto a newer truck chassis and engine? Yes, I did. Franken truck. It's still sitting right there. It runs. I don't use it for much of anything. That was one of those things where it's like, I think I can. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I did it. And that was about it. It's it's there. You know, it runs. It's got some sort of electrical issue, but it does run. It just sits there and collects scrap until I take it to the dump. Rick says, too bad you showed the couple with the other 68 Jade. Too bad. No, it's good. It's good. I'll give you some. Okay, hold on a second. We'll talk about that in just a minute, Rick. I want to talk about that. So I'm glad you brought that up, actually. Jay Living could use a flat file to bring the gap out. Possibly. Real Nautical Fishing. Hey, brother. Thanks for the live. Sorry to hear about the YouTube politics. I spoke with you on Facebook about my 68. A question I had is if you think I should start at the cowl or the frame or full floor. Okay. I don't remember exactly the conversation. I apologize. I get all kinds of questions. Now, assuming that you're going to... A question I had is if you think I should start at the cowl or the frame or full floor. Well, the frame, if you're considering the frame and the full floor, if you're doing... I don't know exactly what you're implying there, because if you're doing the frame, like frame rails, that's one thing. If you're doing the full floor with the frame rails, that's another thing. So, as I mentioned with the light blue Mustang that I did years ago, the only conflict I had with doing it the way I did it was the firewall would not fit once I had the frame rails or the floor pan in place, because it would not rotate into the frame rails. So I had to put it on top of the floor pan instead of underneath the floor pan. Now, I don't know the condition of everything. I don't remember exactly if you sent me some pictures or anything like that. But typically, if you're going to have a bad cowl, I'm assuming you may have a bad firewall. I don't know. What you can do is take all that stuff out. But also, I've seen people do it like this. Okay, let's say you took the body apart. You cut loose the firewall and the cowl, and you're left with the side kick panels, the outer rocker panels, the structure for the door openings and the roof and all that sort of thing. And if you were to take that and put it onto a new full floor, fit the firewall in, if you're replacing the firewall, you can do the firewall and the cowl, and then put in your new front frame rails or whatever your plan is there, whether you're going to reuse whatever you have. So it's difficult to answer your question without seeing it in front of me, or being able to analyze everything. I've had somebody else ask me about this recently, and we were discussing this about putting in the full floor and putting that in first, getting everything solid at the bottom, and then working your way forward. So like also when I did the 66 convertible, I started with the full floor pan. I actually worked from the quarter panels forward, because you can't relocate that stuff. You can adjust door gaps and different things like that. So it's kind of hard to answer specifically. Now, if you had more of the list of everything you plan to replace, I might be able to make a better puzzle for you. I don't know. But I'm glad you're here either way. How about that? Dawn's Manufactory. Hello all from Soggy PDX. Yes. That's the way it always is, right? I did enjoy your drive you took out to Mount St. Helens. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. We don't have that kind of scenery here. Colin says cool. Okay. Yes. Rick, you could have bought it and showed up with Jade a couple days later and said you fixed what you bought. Yeah, I could have. I could have. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. I have a friend who knows that I do Mustang stuff. And I do work on their car. I do oil changes and all that sort of thing. And occasionally I get a phone call that says, hey, I think I found something you might be interested in. So the call was about a 68 Mustang. I really don't need another car. I don't. But they asked me to come look at it because they were going to sell it. And turns out it was one of those kind of father-son project that was started about 18 years ago. 68, they thought that it was a GT. So I was kind of interested, but I had a feeling it wasn't really a GT. And I said, well, what makes you think it's a GT? And they said, well, it has GT hubcaps. I'm like, okay. Does it have power steering or power brakes or any, what engine did it have? And they said, it doesn't have anything. It's just plain. I said, okay, it's not a GT. Turns out it was a 289 two-barrel automatic car, simple, plain 68 Mustang. That was the green, the bullet green color, whatever. I can't remember the name of that. But the car is really bad. It's pretty bad. The floor pans are gone. The car had been hit in the back, and so both quarter panels were buckled and rusted. There's stuff underneath. It's really bad. It's a parts car. Yeah, Highland Green. Thank you, Rick. Highland Green. So it's a parts car. That's all it is. The other problem is it's missing the VIN number off of the dash. Now on a 68s, they had a VIN number on the dash, on the passenger side. Later cars that had them on the driver's side. 67 didn't have that. It does have VIN numbers on it, which is how we figured out it's a regular 289. There's a door trim tag on it, but you really can't do anything with it. You have to have that VIN number for the dash, and nobody makes that. There's no replication for that. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is buying this car and just getting it here and stealing parts off of it. I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to. I think it has two good doors. The fenders may be good. Headlight buckets. He did buy new floor pans. He bought some new quarter panels, but unfortunately he bought the worst 68 quarter panels you could find. And there was probably some other new parts that he bought. But I'll say this, I'm getting a heck of a deal. He wants it out of there. Now the cool part about all that, when I went to look at it, I decided to drive Jade over there just for kicks. I thought, you know what? Maybe he'll want to see this. So I got to their house. They opened a garage door when I got there, and both he and his wife come walking out, and their jaws dropped. And they were like, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is my 68." And they said that they dated in a Gulfstream Aqua 68 Mustang, V8 automatic, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So basically, they know that the other car. I told them, I said, I'm not really interested in this car. It would have to, just be really almost giving it away, to be honest. But they were very interested in the my car. And I said, well, there's still a few things I need to do to it. but they said, I want to be first to make an offer on it. And I said, well, we can do that. We can do that. So for now, I need to get over there and get their car over here so I can just pull pieces off of it and set them aside. And then I'm going to sell the rest of it to another Mustang picker. And, he can go through it and see what he can use off of it. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. Michael Pagliarini, hello all, late to the party, was watering my weeds. Well, that's good. Glad you're here. Rick says, if you don't mind, what are they asking for the 68? Well, I can tell you what they were asking was way too much. They were asking $3,000 for the car, and I'm like, no, you'll be lucky if you get a third of that. And so we kind of worked on it, and I got it for less than a third of that. That's the deal. So we'll just go with that. My name is Ronnie, and I sent you some videos on Messenger. Floor pan is rotted from the cowl leaking, and the sub has rot as well. Remember the weird rust spots on the roof, maybe? Yeah, I mean, I have to go back and look, and I apologize if I don't know if I responded to you on that or not. It's a whirlwind anymore with things that are questions I could ask, and I try to help out and do what I can. So I'll have to go back and look and see if I can find them. Maybe send me another message so I can see it pop up. I'll just have to kind of look at it from there. So we'll go from there. Shannon, I found the VIN on a 68 folded under the dash pad. Yeah, this didn't even have a dash pad. This doesn't have, there's no gauges, there's no headliner, there's no interior. I mean, it's just a shell. Well, let me see if I can. I'll tell you what. Hold on just a second. I will send a picture so you can see what I'm. Hold on, I gotta find it. Whoops. It is just a shell. And also, I'll send a couple other pictures to myself so I can pull them up on here, so y'all can see what I've been doing. And I probably should have done this sooner, so I apologize. Takes just a minute. Okay, they're on their way. But yeah, there was nothing. In fact, there was a tab, part of a tab, where the VIN plate was, and it's not anymore. So somebody removed it or something. So it's not good. Nick Moss. Hello, Nick. Glad you're here. Jay Living. Put new sending units, water and oil, and new engine feed on my 390. Gauges were working on it, but has quit working on it. Check fuses and wiring harness. I have some 65 to 70 parts. I'm in Georgia. Okay. All right. So a couple statements there. So you have new water, oil, and new engine feed on my 390 gauges. We're working on it, but has quit working on it. Check fuses and wiring. I don't know for sure. I know that some of the, on the 69 and 70s, I don't know if it's the same on the 68. There's what is it? I won't say a transistor, but there's a coil or something that if it goes bad, you'll have problems on the gauge cluster. Now you may have to research that. Maybe something, it has to be probably something with the gauge cluster itself, but I don't remember specifically. But I know we had a problem with that on the 70 that we did years ago, and I had to replace that part. But I don't remember the specifics, what that was called. So, all right, I'm going to download these pictures so I can get them up on the screen y'all can see what I'm talking about. At least some of it. I'm not going to put all the pictures up, just ones that are one I can show you. All right. Got a couple here to get rid of. Give me just a second. All right, so this is the 68. And I mean it's rough. It is really rough. The there's damage underneath. There's like I said, I think the doors are okay, and I know the fender in that picture. You can see the passenger side fender. They rolled it. They put a strap on it and mangled the thing at the bottom, but there's no rust in it, so I'll probably have to save it. There is a deck lid. Oh, why is it trying to do Wi-Fi again? It should not be doing the Wi-Fi thing. Okay, so we're back. Okay, here we go. So I was talking about, Jay Living said, Rick Stevenson, voltage regulator for the cluster. And Jay Living also says the regulator. And Robert, 12 volt to 6 volt regulator. Okay, so that's what I was talking about with the gauge cluster. So thank you all for those answers. Appreciate that. All right. Leonard, late getting to the show, dealing with some unwanted things. Hope all are well. I'm glad you're here, Leonard. Never want to deal with unwanted things. Anthony Carver, I'm late, but I didn't miss your podcast this week. Well, I'm glad you're here, Anthony. Del Marine says, good night, all kiddo duty. See you next week. Okay. Simone. Hi, Barry in chat. Hi, Simone. Glad you're here. And Marcus Frisk has shown up. Awesome. I'm late too. That's okay. You're still acceptable. They're still accepted. Let's put it that way. Jay Lim, if you have the original VINs on the apron, the sheriff can run the number issues and issue a new VIN. Yeah, but the VIN plate itself on the 68s has to be on the dash. If it's not on the dash, then it's not technically legal, even with the numbers on the aprons. So at this point, it's a parts car. I don't even want to consider the idea of trying to rebuild it, or if somebody else wants to, but you can't. It's not getting a new VIN number doesn't make it really any better. It just shows that it's got a newer VIN number, and then that, to me, that creates another myriad of problems because people are going, oh, what happened to the original one? Was this car stolen? Where did it come from? It's just not worth the effort for that. Clark Clifford, hello everyone. Hello Clark, glad you're here. Jeff, they make repop. There goes the Wi-Fi thing again. Why is it doing that? It should not be doing that. The Wi-Fi is not even turned on out here. I've got a direct cable. Jeff, they make repop dash VIN tags for 68s if you wanted to go that route, and some of the places will stamp them to match the other VIN locations on the apron or door tag. Now, I don't know who does that because I've everything I've read on that, nobody will redo the actual VIN on the dash. And the reason for that is they don't know where you're getting that VIN from. And, they could be helping you steal a car, something like that. So like Marty Report, they won't reproduce them. And I'm kind of like, if Marty won't do it, that kind of means something. But I don't know for sure who the who would make those. Who would make those? But I could look into it. Thank you, Jeff. Nick, if your quarter glass needs to go toward the outside of the car, belt line barely touching on that side, how to correct this? It bolts to that side, and honestly, I haven't actually investigated it. Oh, I don't know. I'd have to back my mind up and get back into into the window track thing. You know, I made a video on that, by the way. There is, you know, you do have those adjustments at the bottom that allows it to pivot, basically on the kind of pivot when you move that bracket in or out off the rocker panel. Now, I don't know what all's been done to your car, and I don't know if you could shim that. Like if you were having, if the quarter glass is not coming out far enough in the midsection at the belt line, you may end up taking the bolts loose and putting some shims inside of there so that the whole assembly can move outboard to get it closer to the belt line, if that makes sense. I don't know what other options you could really do at that point. That's the only thing that comes to mind right now, Nick. Nick, just curious if that could be an issue since it bolts to that side. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the only thing I could think of is putting a shim in there to try to help it out. Jay Living, I've got fenders, door glass, and much more. Okay. Well, maybe you have to. Where are you located? We'll start with that. Where are you located? Richard Vogel, I'm late. Good evening, Barry. Glad you're here, Richard. Travis, hey Barry, are you taking off the weld through primer from the dynacorn parts? I did, and I am. Yes, that's. I don't have a before picture, but all of that is the bottom of the Cobra Jet, and the stupid Wi-Fi thing again. That should not be doing it. So hopefully you can hear me. I don't know. That everything there was completely stripped down to bare metal, and also all of that was stripped down to bare metal. Everything. And later on, I will do the quarter panels, the tail panel, everything. Why is it doing the Wi-Fi? I don't get it. It should not be doing this. It's not even hooked up to Wi-Fi. Drive me crazy. Hold on a minute. Let me I'll see if my wife is taking the Wi-Fi from me, taking the internet from me. I guess you can see me. I don't know. This stupid little Wi-Fi thing keeps popping up, and I know a lot of times when it does that, it freezes me. I don't know why it's doing this. It should not be doing this. Hopefully everybody can see me okay. I don't know. But yeah, the answer is I'm stripping everything off. Okay. So Robert says it still sees me. I don't know. It's driving me crazy. When I see a little Wi-Fi symbol, I panic. So yes, I've stripped off all the zinc or the weld-through primer from the body panels. Colin, now that your garage is pretty empty, do you have any projects lined up after Slither? Yes. Probably the first thing I want to roll in here is the 68 Mustang, or 68 Camaro. Yeah, the basket case. I want to get all that done and sell that car. It's got to go. Yeah. So that's probably going to be the next one. And then after that, I'll probably do some work to my Mach 1, but I may start on the 67 fastback conversion that I plan to do. So that'll come later. But yeah, I want to get the Camaro done and out of here. It's just been here too long and doesn't need to be here. All right. Thank you, Colin. Nick, I just finally got the one-piece products door glass installed and figured out. So at least that nightmare is pretty much over, except for minor adjustments to the quarter glass and the roof rail seal. Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll get it. Rick, I just went through the problem of missing VIN tag in Florida. Had to find the VIN on 2 other places on the vehicle to prove the correct VIN. Okay, well, that may work, but I don't think this car is going to get put back together. Like I said, it's even this picture. I mean, you can see where it was hitting the back, and the quarters were bowed out. So I'm thinking that the frame rails are probably bent, and it's just a plain Jane car, so it's just going to be parts. And the other guy may want to do more with it. You know, I don't know. We'll figure that out. He'll figure that out later. Dawn says you can put a slight twist in the regulator assembly. That's for Nick. And he says, Nick says that area is completely stock. I think if shim it, that would be the wrong way. I'll take another look. Okay. Well, it's hard. I mean, take a big hammer and just hit that inner structure and knock it outboard. There you go. Instead of the shim, just pow. Just smack it. Put a board there and just pow. He says, well, hey, look, yeah, you haven't really looked that hard yet. But you will. Rick, I've been watching the Jade series from the beginning. Don't take offense, but I watch the videos when I'm trying to fall asleep. Keeps my mind occupied. No, that's fine. That is fine. Jay living Lafayette, Georgia. Okay. I don't even know where that's at. Simone, I have been buying parts for the Cortina. Finally getting back to work on it. The carburetor has been fully rebuilt. Well, that's a positive. Good. Anthony, I see old rusted out Mustangs all the time with no title, with outrageous prices, and that's all they are is parts cars. Yeah, and you know, in Georgia, you don't need a title; you just need a bill of sale. But I mean, this car, it's really bad. Travis, also, are the CJ Classic parts from CJ Pony Parts actually dynacorn? I bought 2 front frame rails with CJ Classic stickers, but on CJ's Ponies website, they show dynacorn part numbers. That is a good question. And I can't say for sure. The reason I say that, like the skins for the quarter panels that Charles had bought from CJ Pony Parts, they told him those were dynacorn parts. Those were nowhere near dynacorn parts. Dynacorn, there's no way they would have sold those skins as replacements, in my opinion. They were so bad that I can't see how they could justify it. Now, I've also said this before, and this is years ago when I was doing the convertible project. I had bought fenders and I think doors. I know fenders for sure from Mustangs Unlimited, and they said dynacorn on the box, but they were just stickers. It was the same old generic fender that you would get from anybody, but dynacorn just put a sticker on the box saying it was theirs. So just like, you know, Scott Drake or any of them, they'll just put their name on it. Now, I can't say for sure on those frame rails whether that is accurate or not. I don't know that dynacorn would go out of their way to start making their own frame rails. I don't know. I don't have an easy answer on that, but the if the frame rails look good and are solid, I don't see a problem with using them, but I can't say for sure. It seems odd that they would label them as dynacorn whenever dynacorn, I don't know. You see what I'm getting at. You could easily say that it's their product, and they could even say that it's their product when it's actually neither of their products. It's somebody else's that they're buying in a bulk load and putting their sticker on it, kind of thing. So it's about the best I can say. Dwight Douglas, greeting from Central Indiana. Did you get rid of the Scorpion? You know what? If y'all didn't see, anybody who follows me on Facebook, I had got an order from Amazon, and the boxes are taped up good. They're solid. You know, I opened up the box and I pulled out the stuff that I had ordered, and I get everything out, and I look back in the box, and there's a scorpion, about that big, in the box. And I thought, oh, there's a dead scorpion in here. And so I grabbed a piece of paper and I went to scoop at it, and it sprung up. And I was like, oh, there's a live scorpion. I got a bonus from Amazon. I got a scorpion. And so I thought this would be funny to post. So I took a couple pictures of it to put on Facebook. You know, that's how it works. I looked back in the box, and it was gone. And I looked down on the floor, and I'm like, I don't see it. And then all in the corner of my eye, I saw it scurrying underneath my jack stands. I was like, okay, I have a pet scorpion now. Well, you know, the thing is, everybody freaks out over scorpions, but scorpions eat spiders. So maybe it's a trade-off. Maybe I just let the scorpion have a spider feast. I don't know. But thank you for asking, Dwight. Glad you're here. Travis, okay, you see me? Okay, so no, not glitching. All right, good. That's yeah, okay. Nick, also, you know, I gave you a few dozen plays on the episode of Jade. Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Leonard, someone posted a picture of a 66 Mustang that looked a lot like BP. Had to do a double take that it looked a lot like it. Yes, I saw that I saw it on Facebook, and I posted a link to the Jade videos. Like, this is what you're in for. Here you go. Buckle up. You're going to go for a big ride. Crash Rider, Wi-Fi not causing a problem. Okay. Jay Living, I need a good dash. Okay. Studs are adjustable. 20 miles south of Chattanooga. Okay, you're north Georgia. All right. LOL goes with the tarantula intake. Yeah. Anthony, I wonder what country the scorpion came from. Yeah, that's a good question. That is a good question. Colin, hello from Eastern PA. Glad you're here, Colin. Hope all is well with you. I got to get some more coffee. Still haven't. I'm not going to eat the gob, but I have to show the gob that we know they're real. I don't make this up. These are only available in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Yost, Y-O-S-T-S, or it's Yost, which is actually Y-O-S-T apostrophe S, Dutch Made Bakery, Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And apparently they will ship those. So, if you're interested. Dennis Paulson is saying Dennis Paulson. Glad to hear Dennis. Donnie Reeves, a scorpion sting isn't any worse than a bee sting. I found it the hard way in North Georgia. Oh, well, that's not something I need to find out. Robert, honey roasted scorpions. Oh, you know what? Those might be good. But I'm not going to try it. Jay Living, any good exhaust manifold paint that won't burn off? That's a good question that I don't have a good answer for. I normally don't even mess with that stuff as far as worrying about that. I usually, if I put headers on something, I get the ceramic coated headers and just run with it. Greg Steyerwalt. That's a new name, I think. I saw it on the news. Someone got a cat in their Amazon box. Wait, you can ship cats? I could ship a cat? Ooh, my wife would kill me. Yeah, we went through this last week. We have several viewers that have their cats watching me on YouTube, which is somewhat disturbing. But hey, the view counts, right? Okay. As I was mentioning before, and well, I've already shown the pictures of it. I'm going to show them again though, just so you can see. On the Cobra Jet, the PDF that I saw was going into detail about where you put seam sealer and how much and how it's supposed to look and all that sort of thing. And then apparently the engine bay itself is supposed to be black, and the red chromate primer will be on the whole bottom of the car and the bottom of the frame rails, including the strut rod braces. So that's something that I intend to do. And at this point, the rest of it will get kind of, they did like an overspray type of thing where they put seam sealer around areas of the shock tower, some up underneath where the braces meet the cowl, and then they shot it with the red stuff. Now, I don't have a problem with doing that. I'm okay with that. It's just something that I'm going to try to get close, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it not being perfect, because it's not going to be a show car that's going to get judged, I wouldn't think. Let's see, Leonard. Yeah, that was on the news. Oh, okay. I did not see that. Rick Gain. Don't get any ideas. Leave your wife's cat alone. Yeah. Dave Condo, cat in an Amazon box? That was me. Pick an email. Oh, wait a minute. You sent me an email? No? I don't see it. If you sent me something, I don't have it. Reload. Nope. Okay. Glad you're here, Dave, by the way. I think I've already said that. Anthony Carver, depends on what kind of scorpion. The first time I was stung, it felt like a spike gut drove through my foot. That's not a good scorpion. Yeah, you need to kill that one. That's not the kind you want. Crash Rider says meow. Yes, meow. Dennis Paulson, hi gang, all is well in the great north. Hasn't snowed in over a week. High today, 44. Hope I did this correct. Yes. It appears you did, yeah. So it hasn't snowed in a week. That's pretty good. I don't know where Great North, I guess, is that Canada, I assume? I don't know. Brian B says hello to all. Hello, Brian. Glad you're here. Now, the difficulty, of course, with spraying the epoxy is I didn't want to do it in this space. I did not want to spray it in this part of the garage, but I could not do it any other place because the back paint booth area is full with my Mach 1, and all the parts for both of these cars are stored back there. Not only that, but I can't get this to the back with it on a rotisserie. So I can't do anything other than to paint it out here. So that's what I did. I did, of course, the respirator and all that stuff. But it's still, the fumes are still here. And part of that, I don't know. I feel like it's in my lungs or something. See, I'm doing a health hazard just to be here. Dave Conville says, internet is slow in New Jersey. Yeah. Well, it's probably some government regulator slowing it down so they can charge you more later. You know how that is. Richard, what seam sealer do you recommend? Oh, that's a good question. That is a good question. Let me see if I can give you a good answer. I have a couple different ones here. I have these, or this one, and I have this one. So this one I'm very happy with. This is an Eastwood product, High Solids Seam Sealer. This one is fast curing, non-sagging, paintable in 60 minutes, permanently flexible, withstands weathering, oxidation, salt exposure, gasoline, and most solvents. Most. Now, what I liked about this one is it flows. So, like if you're trying to like if I do a tight seam at the door, the quarter panel to the rocker panel, right? And I want to get it in there and make it smooth. This stuff flowed out of the gun, caulking gun, pretty nice, and I was easily able to manipulate it and make it smooth. I want to say this one is like a cream, almost like maybe like a creamy peanut butter, maybe a little lighter than a creamy peanut butter kind of feel to it. But this one is, I like it. High solids seam sealer from Eastwood. I don't see a specific part number on that. Now, this is one that Charles had bought. This is Fast and Firm seam sealer from 3M, 08505. I have used this. This one is thicker. This is like a caulking gun kind of thing. I mean, like it's like window caulk. It feels like that. So whenever you're doing that, it takes a little more effort to get it to go into place. I used this in particular when I was, I put in the shock towers, and before I welded the reinforcement plates in, the structural reinforcement plates, I did that on the bottom area. I filled all that in. This is what I will be using throughout the rest of the car. This is what Charles bought. So anywhere that I'm going to put seam sealer, this is what's going to go in it. So 08505. The other thing that I would recommend is, I think it's Eastwood, there's other companies that sell it, is brushable seam sealer. Brushable seam sealer is kind of like a thick icing feel to it. Kind of like the other stuff that I talked about, the high solids. It comes in a pint can, maybe a quart can. And what I like about that is you just take a brush and you get some on the brush and then go into the gaps and fill it in. You can also use a glove and just push it in with your finger. I've used it before. I've just scooped some out and put it in those gaps as well. But that stuff dries, it skims over really quick. So just know that. It seems to dry super fast. And if you don't keep the lid on the can, it'll skim over inside the can. So that's my three recommendations for seam sealer. Good question. The Dutchman, hey, I got that Mustang going. It's fixed now. I'm into fixing a leaky power steering unit. Okay, well, that's good, I guess. Dave Britton says hello. Hello, Dave. The Dutchman, I learned a lesson, though. Okay. All right, so Dave sent me a picture. I may have to pull that up. And he says, I have to share it with you. He says, I'm finding out that if you ask someone at a parts store, more than likely they don't know about any cars more than 10-year-olds. Most don't know anything. Yeah. I mean, I won't argue that. I had a problem with the local parts store. I had gone there. We'll just say it sounds like Advance Auto Parts. Sounds like that. Went to Advance, and before I went, which I use Advance all the time, I looked up on their website and found the part that I needed. And it was an odd type of thing, but I found what I needed. So as I normally do, I take a picture of that, and I say, okay, I already know what I need. I'm going to go to the parts store. And I typically go to the commercial account in the back, and I say, hey, how's it going? And they'll say, what do you need? And I say, I need this. And they'll go, got it. And get it for me. I go to the front, and this person operating the front apparently didn't like, I don't know, people. I'm guessing. I guess just doesn't like people. And I said, hey, they said, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I need this part. And they got like defensive with me. And I said, what do you need? And I said, well, I have the part number here. I know what I need if you want to just, look up this part number. And the person was like, well, do you want to go with what you found on the internet, or do you want to know what I have in my store? And I'm like, well, I found it on your website, So I'm assuming this is your part. Let me see. What is it? I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do here? And so finally they looked it up and they says, well, let me go see if we have it. I'm like, okay, go ahead. Yeah, it was not a fun experience. And since then I've gone back and tried to not contact or interact with that person. So, good times. Nick, exactly both seam sealers I used on mine. Yep, there you go. Shannon, what do you think about urethane seam sealer? Well, you're talking about like the urethane that you use on the window glass? Is it that kind of stuff? I mean, if it works, it works. I don't have a problem with it as long as it does what it's supposed to do. I guess that's what I can say about that. Dutchman, searching for people who know about classic cars is getting harder. Yeah, that's why I'm here. Jay Living, you need to put a new roof skin on my fastback. How would you do the skin without removing the drip rails? What year? What year fastback? That would be the question. 68? That's a tough question. I can tell you from experience that the drip rails, okay, 68, that the assembly, ooh. Okay, so if I reference the 69 that I've done the roof on and the drip rails, if it's built the same as the 69, I don't know that you can do it without being super duper careful. So you could cut the skin loose, and then you're going to have to get the flange off of the drip rail because you're going to have all those spot welds that are on the drip rail. So you're going to have to grind. I would take like a DA, or we call them Ziz wheels, but the little cutting disc, and grind the top of those welds off and slowly separate that strip of metal off of the top of the drip rail. I mean, it can be done. That's about the only way you can do it, aside from taking out the whole drip rail and starting over. So, but I mean, that would work. Oh, so here's the picture Dave Conville sent me. Yeah. 2 cats in an Amazon box, or in their own Amazon boxes. Okay. Car guy Troy, hello. Me and the cat are tuned in. Okay, glad you're here. Jay Living, go to AutoZone. Yeah, not gonna. I don't like going there either. Anthony Carver, I always ask for someone else or leave the store. Yeah. Well, I needed that part right then, and I knew they had it. Robert probably means that the 2-part seam sealers, good stuff, but pricey. Not the other stuff is cheap. Okay. Yeah, I've not used the 2-part mix seam sealer. Now I do have something. Hold on a second. Hold on. I do have another product. I don't know exactly what's in this box. It is a drip rail self-leveling. This is something Charles had bought. And I believe this is a 2-part thing because he also bought this special gun. So maybe that's what I'll be experiencing later on when I do the drip rails. So, Bob says, and the stores wonder why their sale numbers are declining. Well, they've got tough competition. I'll say that because you can, like I do oil changes, right? I do oil changes for friends, family, and I can tell you that anybody who's using synthetic oil, it's cheaper to buy the same product off of Amazon and have it delivered to your door than it is for me to go drive over to the parts store, deal with somebody like that, get the stuff and drive it back. It's just easier. And I hate to say that. We're all guilty of it. But the convenience of having the same product delivered to my door versus me having to interact with somebody who hates their job, I'll just buy it online if I have to. Jay Living, I just seen the same cat. Okay. The Dutchman, and tell people don't buy classic cars if you don't know anything about them, because not knowing about cars could cost you bucks. It's all about searching for people who deal in what you like to work on. I guess is work on. Yeah, and that's part of the reason. I don't know if y'all know. I sold Speed Buggy. So I did two things last week. I sold my brother's Studebaker, and it went to a family friend back in Pennsylvania, and I'm okay with that. And Speed Buggy, I sold it last week. And what's interesting is a body shop on the north side of Atlanta bought Speed Buggy, and they're going to use it as a eye catcher. Apparently the shop, I think it's called Flavaz, I think, like Flavaz. You could probably look it up if you want. I met with their mechanic. They liked it a lot. I met with the owner when he came to get it, and he said, yeah, they were going to put a big roll bar in it, a sound system, and speakers and stuff, and they were going to have it out in front of their shop for block parties and stuff like that. I'm like, okay. So I'm going to have to find out. I think it's called Flavaz. And the guy was letting me know that he is the only body shop in the state of Georgia that has a liquor license. Okay. So we'll go on from there. All right, Robert, I honestly don't like any of the parts stores anymore. Yeah, no, I don't either. Shannon, you made putting drip rails look easy on a Cobra Jet. Well, thanks. I mean, thanks. When you do this stuff a lot, you kind of have a knack for it. So, the Dutchman, all the parts stores, even online, are out to lunch. Yeah. The Dutchman, it took me 5 tries to get the right starter from a parts store. Yep. Car Guy Troy used to work at a local parts store in high school with the big, long catalog racks, pre-computer lookup era where they need to have year, etc. for everything. I always looked at everything beforehand. Yep. Leonard, the old style parts stores are a thing of the past, and Napa is about the only one still around. Yeah. Yeah, Napa. We have a Napa store, and they're pretty good. They are pretty good, I will say that. Michael says Fisher. I'm not familiar with that. What that may be. Dave Raymer, hello from Pennsylvania. Hello, Dave. Glad you're here. Anthony Carver, I do appreciate your work and knowledge you share with us. It means a lot when we're working on the same thing you have done. Thank you, and sorry I got to go. Okay, well, glad you're here. Jay Living, the old timers are few and far between. Turning wrenches over 40 years, passed it on to my son, Kyle and Shelby. Okay, that's cool. Good. I'm glad you passed it on. Jay Living, Fisher Federated Auto Parts. I do about $35,000 a month with them. Wow. Okay. We don't have that here. So, Dutchman, I feel for you. I tell you, I feel for Junior and Missy if they ever want to go from a parts store. LOL, I know nothing. Yeah. I want to get. Yeah, if you ever want to get from a parts store. Yeah. Yeah. I remember we had, in our little town growing up, we had a Napa store. And it was set up like an old store. Like you walked in and there's, it wasn't very big. There was radiator hoses hanging here and muffler bearings and blinker fluid, all that stuff. Just seeing if you're listening. Okay. I'm probably not going to last much longer, to be honest with you. Probably not going to last much longer. Let's see. Robert, I have I have to pass a dozen or more parts stores before I go to the last remaining Napa, which is basically a small repair shop supply now. I've never seen another customer in the store. Yeah. Well, that's what our Napa is. It is a maintenance shop that has a Napa store. That's really all they are. But they generally have good stuff. The Dutchman, I started a car page myself on Facebook, and here aimed solely on helping people get started in finding parts and getting the right information. Okay, that's good. That's good. And and people they'll look it up. They'll definitely take advantage of that. I know that there's a lot of people that need this information, and it's hard to find anymore. It really is. Okay. I can feel my voice is starting already get a little rougher, and it's been an hour and 20 minutes, so that's plenty of time for tonight. I will be posting a video on YouTube, and I will be posting a video on Patreon. They won't be the same video. There will be changes made, and that's what I'll be doing moving forward. I have been posting videos that already exist on YouTube are being posted on Patreon. The advantage there is that there's no commercials. You just get to see the video. And I've been trying to do that with the Cobra Jet, trying to get everybody caught up on that series. I've also started posting videos of the 65 and 6 Mustangs. They call them collections on there. So I've been posting videos from that series as well, and I'll be adding more to that as time goes on. So if you're interested, go check out Patreon just to see what it's about. I appreciate everybody who has joined. That means so much to me, and I look forward to sharing more on there very soon. So that'll be it for tonight's show. At this point, I do plan to be back next Monday, unless something comes up and I can't be here. I do plan to be here. So that's it for now, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya. Just kidding. I hit the wrong button.